it might have come as a shock to your family and your loved ones when you did come up to them and say that this is what I want to do and this is what I feel called to do. And so I want to ask, what was the most common reaction that you got?
My father was so upset. It looked like it was my funeral or something.
Oh no.
The initial reaction was really disbelief. Yeah, it was like, ikaw? Or are you serious? Parang ganon.
All right, so I think we should be moving on to the next question now. So with that being said, what is your take on the diminishing number of brothers for the De La Salle brothers in the community? So are there still young people who choose to become priests, sisters, and brothers? And a follow-up question to this, how can you explain to a 5-year-old child the mission of the De La Salle brothers?
You'd like to go first, Brother Nico?
Okay, brother. Well, what is my... Well, I'm relatively really a young brother. You know, one of the things, one of the perks of being a young brother is sometimes you don't really think about the future yet, such as the diminishing numbers of brothers. I mean, it's like it's something that we young brothers usually overlook, you know, because we're so engaged with other things. But one reality that I realized when I came here to Japan was really we are becoming less and less, and it's affecting the school in that sense. So what is my take in the here in Japan, we are currently just 4 active brothers. 2 of them are senior brothers and 1 is middle age, and I'm the young brother here. It's a little bit sad because in the communities we're only 2. There are 2 communities, so we're separated 2 each. So usually that's not the ideal, and it's very difficult. When I thought about it when I was there in the Philippines, you know, some brothers would say, there are only 2 brothers in this community. It was like, how difficult is that? But I realized when I came here, oh man, that's so difficult. Because it's like you're living just with one person and nobody else. So you try to make with it. You try your best to deal with it. So here in Japan also, it's like, you know, religious life is almost, you know, non-existent with conversation topics, even in the school. Mm-hmm. So somehow it's become a little bit of parang taboo na for me. I feel like sometimes it's already taboo for me to talk about vocations, more brothers, or because here it's not really talked about. But again, I guess that's where the inspiration comes from, because if I sulk and succumb to that, you know, that idea, edi lalong mawawala yung, you know, fire. So I guess what I want to say is the diminishing numbers is a reality that we really want to face head on. But for me as a young brother now in a non-Catholic country, I admit that I don't know also what to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know where to start. So doing things like this sometimes, not sometimes, but really helps me, you know, keep myself involved, even if it's, you know, very far in the Philippines. So yeah, Brother Mandy, how about you?
Yeah, on one hand, it is very concerning. Like, we have about 100,000 students in the Philippines alone. That is only rivaled by the French district, which has about 120,000. So these are in terms of student population, the Philippines and France would be the biggest ones. Gone are the days when brothers come in droves. But let's also remember that once upon a time, we were reduced to like I don't remember the exact number now, but it was a hopelessly small number, like 20 brothers or something. Yeah, and they were all in France. Yeah, but somehow numbers recovered at our peak. I think we reached about 15,000 brothers all over the world. Now we are down to about 2,500 or 2,800 active brothers. This not exact numbers. Let's see. I think on one hand there is the theological thing that it is God who calls, no? But aside from that, to balance that out would also be human need. If the service of the brothers is no longer needed, I think the congregation will just fade away because we're no longer needed, and something else that is needed will arise. So right now, brothers like myself and Brother Nico still believe that the mission of education is still very much necessary, and so we're brothers. In terms of recruitment, sometimes the best we can do is get this small seed of a possibility of the religious life, plant it there, and leave it alone. So, yeah. Because you never know. Yeah.
Well, I guess I feel like there are a lot of misconceptions. I mean, that is pretty much the overall conversation of this episode to begin with. The number of misconceptions that especially the youth hold towards the De La Salle brothers or religious life in general, which is why there's a lot of hesitation in entering the vocation.
Yeah, I remember one instance where there was a very cheeky student. I think it was an Australian student, comes to me and says, "Brother, what will you say to convince me to be a brother?" And I said, "Well, what makes you think I'm interested?" Well, that ended the conversation very quickly.
I almost had a similar, not really a similar, but just an anecdote. Just this week, I was doing my lesson with the boys, and I asked them to wear the habit and the rabah. We were playing like a pin the tail on the donkey, but just with the rabah. So we were playing that game in the class, and then I asked volunteers, and then this boy comes up. Then I gave him the robe, tell him put it on. So everybody was laughing because they only see this like once in a year, a brother wearing his habit. But they were having fun. And then at the end of our activity, I asked the boy, I was telling the class, does he look good in the habit? Then of course they were saying, hi, yes. And then I asked the student, so do you want to be a brother? You really look good in your habit. And then he blatantly says, no. Like, oh my God. Okay, take your seat. So, I mean, I wouldn't get that reaction somewhere else, right? It wouldn't be Japan if that reaction was, I did not receive that. But, I realized, okay, need more work, more seeds.
That was actually my answer the first time a brother asked me if I wanted to be a brother.
No, because I was really eyeing this student because he really is like, brother material.
Oh, you never
in
know.
my eyes.
You never know.
He said no.
You never know. You plant the seed and you leave it alone.
That's
actually.
Let God do what God wants.
That's a great approach, like what Brother Mandy said, because in my experience, usually as kids, we like to shut down any ideas of not having a family or not finding someone to share our lives with in the future. And so it can be very intimidating also at first. But there is something very attractive about the lifestyle of a religious person, the type of mission work that you do along the road. And I think if people just get a sneak peek or preview into that, which I hope that this podcast can also do for our listeners here today, that they'll be convinced that, oh, there's a seed. Let's try and wait for it to grow. What is one piece of advice actually that you'd like to give to students who already wish to become brothers in the future?
Give yourself a good and fighting chance. Fight for it like it's your you're something that you really love.